top 5 worst Easter egg steps of all time. We're going to be looking at Treyarch only because I probably couldn't remember steps from the other games even if I tried. At number 5, we have the very last step of the Shadows of Evil Easter egg, where you basically have 3 people near the train who shock the generators at the exact same time, while the person in the middle shocks the keepers. The reason why this step makes the list is because I feel like it didn't need to be included. Like, why is the entire Easter egg able to be done on solo and with any amount of players, but then the very last step, even after you've already captured the Shadow Man, for some reason requires 4 players? It's honestly my single biggest complaint I have for the map Shadows of Evil, and I'm not sure what they were thinking when they added it. On top of that, timing steps where you have to get 4 people to do something at the exact same time is always slightly tedious. And I remember the first couple times I did this, it took me probably an hour plus just to try to get the timing right, and it just makes an otherwise fantastic map with a fantastic Easter egg just so much more annoying. Next we have the Shangri-La step, where you have to walk the napalm zombie around the map. You basically have to walk the napalm zombie through the lower area of Shangri-La. You have to walk him to what I believe is like 3 different gas things on the wall to basically ignite the flame. The main problem with this step is if you get too close to him, he blows up. And if you get too far away from him, he blows up. And if you even dare look at him funny, he blows up. And if you mess this up and you don't get to walk him everywhere, then you have to wait a few rounds for another one to spawn. And while one person's walking him, you have to make sure nobody else is near him. You have to make sure the zombies are all far away. It's just an annoying step in my opinion. Next we have the Hand of Hemera step during the Ancient Evil Easter egg. The first part of this is to basically get a Giganese to come over to this random part of the wall and get him to shield blast it, which can be very, very annoying and challenging to do solo because it's very like random as to when he actually shield blasts. And you have to be standing in this specific corner, but if you let him get too close to you, he could obviously 2-hit you, so this is just like a dangerous step and is basically impossible to do in the middle of a round. And then with that hand, you basically bring it over to the Raw statue to do this lockdown protection step where this beam basically hits the wall for like what feels to be like 5 minutes straight. And meanwhile, you have these skeleton zombies just coming in like every 2 seconds to block the beam. And if the beam stops hitting the wall for like, I don't know, like 5 seconds, then you fail the step and you have to restart. On top of this, while you're playing solo, you don't have a gauntlet because you just put your gauntlet in the Raw statue. And if that wasn't enough, a guaranteed Blight Father spawns in this tiny room while you're trying to defend this wall, making it one of the most overly difficult Easter egg steps that we've ever seen. And number 2, if you play Cold War Zombies, you probably knew this was coming, is the Firebase Z Mimic step. Now, as a premise, this step is actually pretty cool. You basically get these traps to trap mimics, very similar to how like Pokeballs work in Pokemon. You get the mimic to low health, and then you can basically trap him and capture his essence or whatever, which is a very cool concept. The only problem with it is how the actual mechanics work. You have to get 1 of 3 mimics to spawn, which only spawn in once a round, and you have to capture the mimic at the one specific area of the map or else it's going to be the wrong one. And I've had times where I literally got the mimic down to like literally like 0 HP, like barely hanging on for dear life, and I put the trap on him and it still just didn't capture him. So it's a very annoying step to begin with, but on top of that, there's probably like 3 or 4 different glitches that all come with this step. Like, it is extremely likely that these special mimics at the special locations just will stop spawning altogether. Basically make it so you have to restart your game completely. There's a handful of other glitches that make this step even worse that I'm not going to go into. I actually do have an honorable mention. It's going to be the Voyage Clock step, and I put it as an honorable mention because I feel like the community views it as the worst step in Easter egg history, but in my opinion, it's not that bad. Like, you essentially just find a symbol around the map and then just look at the clock next to it, and then input the hours into one clock and the minutes into the other one, and do that 4 times. As soon as you see the symbol, if you're on PC, you can pull up chat and then like literally just type it out, and so you can have it memorized. And I guess if you're on console, you could literally just pull out your phone and type in the correct time, just so that you can remember it when you go to actually put it into the clock. The only problem I've had with this step is that sometimes it glitches out, and you actually get the same symbol at 2 different clock locations, which can be very annoying, but the step itself isn't too bad. And the very worst Easter egg step that we've ever seen in Call of Duty Zombies is going to be the Blood of the Dead power generator step. The first part of the step is to basically shield blast the orb in the power room at spawn, which is how all the other challenges in Blood of the Dead start. Then you have to go all the way to the other side of the map and interact with like the sparking generator so you can play the game of Simon Says. Now, this is basically an enhanced version of Samantha Says from previous games. Rather than being able to see 4 different screens that basically light up right in front of you, there are 5 different generators in the room that light up, and you basically have to interact with them in the same order. What makes this difficult is that it doesn't doesn't stack on each other. So like you have to memorize it a different order every time. Now, if that was the entire step, I would think that that would be an actual kind of fun, more challenging version of Samantha Says from previous games. But of course, in classic Blood of the Dead fashion, this step has a lot more to it. Once you complete the game of Simon Says, 3 different machines will light up. Now be careful, you have to get this right. They'll only light up for a second or two. And they'll basically light up and they'll show 3 different symbols on the machines. Don't forget the little punch card that's sitting on the shelf with the candles on it. You basically take that to the room above spawn where there's a bunch of computers. You insert the key card into this like Garage Crovey looking machine and it'll light up 6 different monitors where you basically convert your 3 symbols into these other symbols. And if you're doing this solo, good luck, because you need to make sure the zombie doesn't break your shield, because you're going to need all 4 shield blasts from your upgraded shield in order to do this next part. Then you take your translated symbols into this power room in spawn, where when you pull out your shield in spectral mode, you will be able to see a ghost who's kind of turning at all these levers. And if you match your translated symbol to one of these symbols on the wall, you can actually shield blast the ghost as he's walking to your correct symbol. But be careful, because if you shield blast too early, you have to start the entire step over again, which is just unbelievably insane that Treyarch thought that this was okay. Like, this is not okay. I promise you, this is not okay.